All right, everyone. Hello. We are about to get started. Can you all let me know if you can hear me? Great. I see some folks coming in. Wonderful. Let me just make sure this is getting recorded and then we can get started. Okay, it's being recorded. Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Kristen Hull. I'm the Associate Commissioner of Instructional Strategy, and I spoke to you all last week about the Texas Home Learning Model and shared a little bit more about what we're doing. I'm very excited to be giving you an update on where we are and then more specifically talk about statewide printing and distribution today. So thank you all very much for joining. The team has been very hard at work on trying to build some of these resources for you. And we are hopeful that they will be useful in your own local contexts. And as you have questions, don't hesitate to put them in the chat and we will do our best to answer them. If we don't answer them today on the webinar, we have been posting Texas Home Learning FAQs onto the website, and I'll show you where those are shortly. So to get started, a couple of things we're going to cover today. We're just going to do a quick high-level recap of Texas Home Learning available resources so you know what it is in case you haven't been on the previous webinars and where we are to date with the development of resources. We're going to provide a quick overview of the Texas Home Learning packets that we've been pulling together. The team, spoiler alert, the team has pulled together about 7,000 pages of content that make up these packets to help students complete 8 weeks of learning for each grade. So we're very excited to have those ready for you. We're going to share statewide printing and shipping information in more detail than we were able to last week, and then we'll try to save some time for outstanding questions. So to get started, recap of Texas Home Learning. For those of you who were here last week, you know this, but really the goal of Texas Home Learning right now in the 1.0 version is to provide a set of resources that help students, families, and districts finish out the school year this year. So the Texas Home Learning 1.0 site will include 8 weeks of learning that a student could start at any point, and they could complete all 8 weeks of learning into June, or they could stop at 6 weeks of learning. Really just to get them through the end of the year, to keep their brains in tune and to keep them focused on learning. So today, again, the focus is going to be 1.0. We do have a 2.0 and 3.0 version coming. The 2.0 is focused on a summer school option, and the 3.0 will be contingency planning for the 2020-21 school year if for some reason we have to maintain this virtual setting. We don't have any indication of that yet, but for purposes of contingency planning. So when we go to texashomelearning.org, you start by selecting your role, and I'm actually going to switch my screen really quick so that I actually can go to this website for you. Okay. Great. So now you should be able to see the website. Let me know if for some reason you can't. Great. Okay. Great. So now we're showing the website. When you get to the website, you start by selecting your role. So today we want to focus on the available print resources. So we're going to start by selecting I'm a parent, I'm a student. And then what you'll see here is the option to select as a parent whether you want to review, whether you want your child to follow the online materials, which means they would have access to the internet and access to a device, or whether you want them to be able to look at the printed materials. And that's generally access to the printable packets that they can then use with just pencil and paper. So what we've been working on is getting the printed materials up and going. So if you click printed materials, you get to this page that has all pre-K through 12th grade printable packets available. So as you scroll down, you can just click the grade level and the image you want, and your printable packet will upload, will download so that you can review it. A couple of notes here is packets are between 300 and 700 pages each because it includes 8 weeks of learning and then all the materials that a student would need for every single day of that work. So if they are referencing a digital book, for example, it will include the digital book in that packet. So they're long, and so they take a second to download. But I did download one ahead of time. And so we're going to just quickly breeze through what is included in the first grade learning packet. So you have a sense of what's out there. So first grade learning packet, we generally start the packets with a high level table of contents, just so you know what's included. So we'll start with a high level overview and introduction for everything that parents and students should know prior to starting their learning plan. And then we'll have the weekly and daily lesson plans for all 8 weeks. And then we have sections of the packet divided by subject areas to help students follow and to know where they need to go for that subject during that day to find the activity that they need. The one caveat to this, I will say, is pre-K looks a little bit different in that it's not split up by subject areas, it's split up by weekly units, so it just looks a little different than the rest. But for the most part, K through 12 will look very similar to this in terms of their structure. So if you keep scrolling down, we'll have divider pages that kind of break up the table of contents as we've just shown. And we really, we start with the introduction. So we try to provide a lot of context for parents and for students who are getting this for the first time. So a welcome, a what to expect for what's included in the packet and how they can get started. We focus a lot on explaining to them the importance of setting up a daily routine, especially for younger grades where they can have some structure and a schedule within their day, but of course recommend they adapt for their family. We focus on helping the parent or the caregiver understand their role and how they can best support their student by grade, and then set some high-level learning goals for the 8 weeks so that we give a sense of by subject area, what are some of the learning goals students can expect to take away as they go through this packet. So we go through these, and then we have a section on preparing for your first day. What this really does is just gives a very, very high-level step-by-step overview of what to expect. So they can see this and they can read through it and they can start to understand what they're going to see in the packet every day. Some explanation around how the packets are set up and what to look for in a particular day of the schedule. But we'll walk through a day of the schedule shortly as well, so we'll do that together. So if I keep scrolling down, we've just finished the introduction, and now we're going to get into the section of the packet that has the 8-week daily and weekly schedule. So whenever we scroll down here, and just to note, some of the reasons that you see blank pages are for the purposes of printing. If you're printing this as a really large packet, we wanted teachers or parents to be able to rip out one day's worth of a lesson and and take that piece of paper with them if they needed to be able to look at it a little bit easier, that sort of thing. So that's the only reason you'll see some white pages. But if we're looking at the daily and weekly schedules, if we're on week 1 lesson plan, and you'll see it says week 1 Monday, what you'll see over the course of 8 weeks is every single schedule is set up to look exactly like this. So it will have, phonics for first graders at 9 a.m. every day, reading and writing at 9:20, math at 10:30, and they will all look exactly like this. But then day to day, different content will change and different directions will be given over time. So generally what is in blue and shaded in blue is portions of your day where you're expecting something to change from day to day over time, and or where TEA gives specific instructions and guidance on what you could specifically do during those times. And then if it's in white, we generally encourage families to do and adapt to do what's best for them during that time, but wanting to acknowledge the importance of mealtime, break time, outdoor activity, those sort of things. So this is generally what a daily schedule will look like. A couple things about the printable packet is what you'll generally see is if you're reading through, for example, phonics, it'll direct you to the exact page number in the packet where you will need to begin your activity. And so the student can open the packet, and when they read that specific instruction, they can turn to the page that they need to find the activity for that particular time slot. So all the pages will be numbered. And they can do this online, and they can search through it online, or if they have it printed, they can flip to whatever section that they want. And then generally at the end of the day, we have some suggested daily check-in guidance that a parent could read and walk their students through, or they could read and ask their students some guiding questions just to understand what they're learning and what they could do at the end of every day. So then you'll keep going down, and you'll just see that it changes to week 1 Tuesday. And then this will continue all the way for the 8 weeks of learning. So again, you'll continue to see this replicated structure. So week 1 Thursday, week 1 Friday, and then you'll get to week 2 lesson plans. So, so really this is what you can expect to see throughout the course of the packet. And then if I keep scrolling down all the way through the 8 weeks of learning plans, then you'll start to actually see the first, you'll see the first content divider. So like your phonics areas, and then you can kind of go through and you can start to look at what some of the different lessons will be referencing. And then similarly, when you get to the English language arts section, you'll see a lot of the books have been uploaded so that they can be read for students. So this is really what is contained in a full packet. Again, you can find them here on the Texas Home Learning site. Once you click parent and then you click the printable portion, you'll get to these packets. And we encourage you to take a look at them, because these packets are the things that you're going to be able to order directly to your households. So if you would like for them to be sent directly to households, these are the things that you're going to have available to you. So a couple things here. I'm getting a couple questions. I'm just going to pause and answer the ones that I can right now. Some of them we'll get to later. So these packets will be available for all grades. So there's one for pre-K, there's one for kindergarten, there's one for all the way through high school. And then I will just note right here, we've noted on the bottom of the website the specific courses that are included in the high school packets. So if you order a 9th grade packet, you'll get the contents for English 1, World Geography, Biology, Algebra 1, and Geometry. And we're going to work on trying to make the course-specific packets at least available for download, because right now they're compiled by grade. So we'll work on that as well. In terms of Spanish packets, so we have just completed this set of packets and got them up for you all this week. Massive effort to the team, so huge thanks to them, because again, as you can see, this is 7,000 plus pages of content, and we are working to get Spanish versions of pre-K through 5th grade packets up. Our hope is by early next week, but we'll get to that later in a second as well. And to answer a couple other questions, yes, this recording will be available, and so will the PowerPoint that we're going to cover. So I'm going to stop sharing. Actually, I'll share 1 or 2 more things. To go back to the homepage, you can hit Texas Home Learning up here. We have a couple high-level things for teachers. So I'm a teacher. You can click on I'm a teacher, and what we have is some general high-level steps the teacher can follow to give some guidance for what they should do if their families and if their students are using the Texas Home Learning model. So just some reminders to help them review their teacher expectations, understand some of the one-time setup instructions for their classroom, connect them to specific resource trainings, and really important, connecting directly with families to make sure that they're able to provide support. So just some high-level steps available from a teacher perspective. And then there is some guidance from a district perspective, and this is our hope is where this is where we can continue to upload guidance that will allow districts to modify some of the packets that we're creating more easily. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing, go back to the PowerPoint really quick. Share screen. Okay. So there we go. If for some reason you can't see it, let me know. Okay, great. So, so now we're back on the screen. I do want to just quickly reiterate on the screen that you can actually start using Texas Home Learning now. So because all of the packets are downloadable and printable for all grade levels and they're up on the website, if this resource is something that is of interest to you, you can start using them whenever you are ready. We didn't go into this on the website, but there's also the digital versions of the packets, and that has basically the day-by-day instructions on the website that you can follow, and it actually links to some different tools. So in some instances or subject areas, if there's a digital tool that is useful for students, it might link them to something different, and they can use those tools online. And in some instances that might be beneficial because it can potentially provide the parent the ability to do more progress monitoring, and it can have some adaptive supports in them as well. So really everything on the website is free and available for parents to start and or districts to start using now. All right. Great. So now we're going to get into a little bit more. These are slides that basically cover what I just talked about, so that you can flip through them in the PowerPoint when you see them later. But I'm going to skip a couple of them since we looked at the website together. The grade level packet page count, we just included the packet information so that you can understand what to expect if you are downloading packets and you are thinking about printing them for them in your local context. These page counts might be give or take 5 or 10, but this is currently what the page counts are for each grade level packet. And again, just bear with them since they're so large. Give them a second to download. They're up there. They're just large. So, so you can access them on the site. And this is, again, just the overview. I'm realizing I said some of this stuff, but the overview of what's included in the high school level grades. And then we'll pause here for a second because I know we get a lot of Spanish questions. Here is what you can expect that will be available in Spanish. So in pre-K through 5, we are creating packets where all the packet introduction, the daily schedules, and all the materials will be available in Spanish. So those, our goal is to have those up early next week. In grades 6 through 12, we will have packets that include options for students to choose between reading and Spanish, Spanish and English texts associating in the reading and writing block for the daily schedule. So those packets will not be available fully in Spanish, but we are going to try to make sure there's Spanish texts for students throughout those grades to choose from, should they choose to order the Spanish version of the packet. So that is what you can expect to be coming for the packets by grades. Again, these are not required. This is something that is a total optional resource for districts to use. What we encourage you to do is take a look at the packets, see if they make sense in your local context in terms of a resource, and then decide locally if it's something that you want to send out. Great. We have a little bit of guidance of what you can expect when you're ordering Spanish packets, and we'll get to this we'll get to ordering in a little bit more detail in the next section. But generally, when you are ordering packets, we will, in the order form, we will collect mailing addresses at the student level, and you can indicate a student language and a household language and their PEMS codes that you can pull. And so this is just a one-page overview of what will actually be shipped to a specific student based on what you see. So if the student language and the household language is English, they'll receive the English-only packet. If the student language is Spanish at any point, they will receive the Spanish-only packet in pre-K, and we will include the English daily schedules an introduction in the appendix so that if there is English support in the household and they need to be looking at that, they can see it. And then if the student is English but the household is Spanish, we will send the English packet but with the Spanish daily schedules and introduction in the appendix. And then for 6 through 12, if either the student language or the household language is in Spanish, they will get the packet that has both the English and Spanish activities incorporated. If for some reason the language is other, we will just send the English packet. We do not have any languages available other than Spanish at this time. Printing and distribution. So again, for printing and distribution, we do want to offer this as an optional service. This is a statewide printing and distribution service. And really the way you can think about it is there's kind of three views you can take. The first is if you want to access statewide printing services, you can do that and we will ship packets directly to your households. We'll talk about how to do that in a big portion of this webinar. You can also organize local distribution. So this is really for districts who want to modify the packets in some sort of way and or only use a portion of them. If you want to do that, we are working to provide you with a list of options for different available vendors that can help you set up local printing after you adjust the packets. And then finally, if you don't want to use these packets at all, you don't have to, or sorry, finally, you can actually just ask parents to print at home. So if you don't want to use statewide printing and distribution services, and if you don't want to organize local printing, you can just ask parents to print at home. Overall, again, you don't have to use this resource whatsoever or use any of these three options if this is not something that's useful to you. Okay, so overview of statewide printing and shipping services. So districts can order complete grade level packets to be shipped directly to households. We accept orders at the student level. They can access our negotiated statewide printing and shipping prices. We'll share the specifics of those shortly if they are ordering through the state. And they can submit as many orders as you want through April. So if you want to submit one order tomorrow and then you want to submit another order in a week, you can do that. And we're planning to offer shipping. We're planning to accept orders through the end of April. However, if we're getting a number of requests beyond that, we can definitely consider extending that timeline. What districts cannot do if they want to use statewide print and shipping services is modify grade level packets that they then want to ship. So if you are using the shipping service, you have to ship the packets as is. We are currently unable to support modifications of packets or specific requests from districts. So if you do want to modify it, again, we'll try to provide you with some local options that you can access to set up your local shipping and operations. We also are not able to mix and match grade level content within a packet for a particular student. So for example, we won't be able to take 3rd grade math and 5th grade ELAR and put them together and send them to a student. We can only ship a full grade level packet to a particular student. Now, we can ship a particular student more than one packet. So if you think a student should get a 4th grade and a 5th grade packet, we can do that, but you would still be paying for 2 packets then for that student. So hopefully that gives some clarity into what can and cannot be done with printing services. They ship directly, so when we ship packets, they'll ship directly to the household. The district doesn't have to be involved once they place the order. Household packets will generally be received 4 to 7 days after your order is approved, with the note that PO boxes slow down delivery and may slow down delivery. And then also just the, while this is our projection, if the timelines may vary based on overall volume, but we will be able to provide the vendor some clarity once an order is received and approved. Oops, sorry for the back and forth. So how do you access statewide printing and distribution services? So what we have is a district can download a .cvs template from the TEA website. They will then complete a data pull from their student information system of mailing addresses used based on the template that they download. And so they basically can populate that template. Then they just email the template directly to the vendor at this email address. So texaspackets@xanadu.com. They'll just send that template to them. The vendor will review their submission for accuracy, and they'll accept orders on a first come, first served basis, and email confirmation to districts once their order is accepted. So really, to get an order started, basically just have to send us your mailing addresses. There is the recommended step that the district notify families that they should be receiving a packet. So if you're ordering a packet for all of your families, on our end, we don't have a way to notify them. So we would just encourage you to do that so they don't get a surprise packet on their doorstep. And we will be providing some sample communications templates that you can use and just modify for your local context. And then, once you submit it, the vendor will ship the packets directly to the mailing addresses that you've provided them. And then payment. So TEA is paying the vendor directly, so shipping can be expedited during this time, given we're trying to get packets out as fast as possible. And then TEA will provide future guidance on how districts can reconcile that purchase. So we included a budget calculator that we'll show you shortly to help you estimate costs. But really all you need to know is right now you don't need to pay anything upfront to order the packets. You just send us your addresses. So the next thing, just to make sure is double clear, you can order now. So this entire process is available and in place for setup. So you can place your orders today using the order form that's online, and I'll show you how to get to that in 1 second. District orders placed by the end of the day tomorrow should be arriving at the household's doorstep by the end of next week, and hopefully earlier than that. This would allow you to start students on the learning plan as early as Monday the 27th, which is about a week and a half. So if you're interested in this and you want to be ordering packets for your students, the sooner you send us addresses, the sooner we can get your students going in terms of getting them the packets so they can get started. It is likely much easier for them to get started if they're starting on a Monday, just because that's how the schedules are set up. But again, they can start at any time. You can also order later. So let's say you're not quite ready to order now, or you don't know which students you want to send to now. You can place orders at any time through April. And again, we'll consider extending this timeline if districts are still requesting that packets be delivered beyond April. But once the order is placed with a vendor at any point, a district should expect households to receive the shipment 4 to 7 days later. So that time period includes from the time they submit the order, for the time it takes the vendor to do all the printing and packing and handling and then shipping. So we're trying to compress that time as much as possible for you all, given the urgency many of you may feel in getting materials to your districts. The payment information that we've talked about some. So we will pay the statewide shipping and distribution vendor directly, so shipping can be expedited, and we'll provide future guidance on how to reconcile this purchase for districts. And you should budget using the pricing information form, which we'll show you shortly. And then we believe that you will likely be able to request reimbursement for printing and distribution just during the time of school closures. We say likely because we don't have 100% clarity on that right now, but that's really what we're thinking. And we will provide additional information as it's available. So I know this is a lot to take in, but this is an overview of what you can expect from a cost perspective in terms of shipping and distribution. So let me just walk through this really quickly. What we have is we've organized the packet information by grade level, because every packet every grade is a different page count, which will impact the price. So we have pre-K through 12, and these are the English versions of pre-K through 12 listed. We have the page count listed, and we have what to expect in terms of the color versus a black and white packet. We were able to get some great deals for color for early grades to help younger students stay more engaged in the packet. So pre-K through 4th grade will be in color, and then 5th grade through 12th grade will come in black and white. And then here's the more specific prices you can expect by grade. So the printing and handling prices are, they're pretty accurate, and they're something that is less variable, and they're based on the page count, the color, and the grade level. So these printing and handling prices that you see shouldn't change. What we've then done is provided you with a shipping price that has a low estimate and a high estimate. And the reason we had to do this as an estimate is because the shipping price for every household is going to change based on the location, based on the number of students in that household and how many packets we're combining into a package, and based on where the actual zip code is, those sort of things. So that will lead to, that should help you estimate that a low estimate for a particular packet could be as low as, if we're looking at pre-K, for example, you should estimate between $19.50 and $24 for your pre-K packet. I will actually say that we think the high estimate is pretty high, and it will actually likely be more towards the low side, mainly because oftentimes within a district, you'll have multiple students within one household. And so the more households you have that have more than one student, the more likely it's going to be on the lower side of the estimate. But again, we wanted to provide you with that range so you could do some projections for what to expect as a part of what you'll be charged once we figure out that on the back end. All right. Okay, here's what the order form looks like. So when you download the order form, here's the high level things you can expect to see. And I'm actually gonna go to the website and do this. No, I'm gonna share the actual order form really quick so that we can look at it real time. District order form. Okay, so hopefully you all can see this. So what you'll do, and this is going to be on our instructional continuity website, but what you'll do is you'll download this order form, and it really has the information we're requesting from you to be able to ship directly to your households. So there's some district information we request. There is the primary guardian information that we request. This is where you'll see you can pull the home language, which we talked about. And really the email and the phone number are included as rows, mostly for shipping purposes. So they can help track down whoever they're trying to ship a product to if they need to. And this would be for UPS and FedEx. We then have the mailing address included. And then the last thing is the student information that we need to send the right packet. So this is, every row should be done at the student level. So one row per student, and you can mark what specific packet or what specific grade that student is in. And you can also indicate that student language that's spoken for them. Again, this should be a direct PEAMS pull, and the student language, if it's Spanish, we'll make sure that they get the Spanish packet. So this is what you can see. Another thing that we've included on the pricing sheet is an overview of the cost that we just discussed. So this should look familiar to you. What it will have in it is the information about packet page count, printing color, but it also has the printing and handling price, as well as the shipping estimates. and the cost per student. And so what we've actually done here is just set up a very quick budget calculator for you, where in this section right here, you can enter the number of students you anticipate sending packets to, and it will calculate for you, and this is done for each grade, it'll calculate for you just the range of what to expect in terms of your total price for shipping and distribution. So hopefully it will be a helpful tool from a budget perspective. I'm going to stop sharing and go back. Let me just actually go back to I'm going to stop sharing, quickly go to the TEA website, and I will show you where you can find this. Okay. So again, if you're on the TEA website, and you're on the homepage for the coronavirus, and you click on instructional continuity planning, and you scroll down, you'll be able to see all the things related to Texas home learning down here. So Texas home learning general overview stuff will be under this section. This has the home learning overview, the website, the first webinar we gave, and then this is also where we've posted some of the frequently asked questions that we received from you all in the chat during our first webinar. We also have the statewide printing and shipping information services. So this is where you will find the overview. So this will be this PowerPoint that we'll upload so that you can take a look at it. We will post the recording of this webinar, hopefully tomorrow, the one that we're giving right now. This is the link to the printable packets on the Texas Home Learning site that we showed you today. And then this will be the downloadable printing order form and estimated, that includes the estimated budget calculator. So these are the resources that we've talked about today, and just wanted to make sure you knew where they were on the website. So again, it's in the Instructional Continuity Planning Framework homepage, and you just scroll down to the Texas Home Learning sections. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint. Okay. Okay, so let's quickly go here. Okay, so we just talked through the order form, and we talked through the budget calculator. We have one quick update for you all on FERPA. So we do want to make sure we're providing supports to help districts stay compliant with FERPA regulations. So there's a couple things, you know, FERPA regulations vary by district, and some districts may remain compliant if they're sharing what we're called directory information, which can include the name, address, telephone, email of their different households. And so oftentimes directory information and sharing that does not violate FERPA for a district. And so we've included some of that language on the order form to make sure districts know that they should only be sending it if it's not in violation of their local FERPA policies. For districts that do not have this FERPA exception, what we've done is our vendor has provided a written agreement that we've also posted on the website that we just showed you. And this agreement can be, it's signed by our vendor, so you districts can take a look at it with their legal team, and it just gives them some extra guidance on and extra commitment from the vendor that ensures that they will handle data appropriately. And so the district can sign this agreement, which will allow them to enter into that formal partnership with the vendor and submit it with their order to support FERPA compliance. So both of those things will be available if that's something that you're concerned about. And the last thing that I do want to talk through is, as we've mentioned a couple times, what we've been talking about so far is the ability to access statewide printing and distribution services if you just want to order packets that we've already created directly. But if a district does want to modify packets, we do want to try to support helping them figure out their own local printing and distribution. And there's a number of ESCs that can offer and have capacity to provide this support. So we have been working on doing a survey of all the ESCs to see what specific services that they provide. And we will be posting a list of those things on the website by tomorrow, so that if you in your local context want to take a packet, modify it, and then work with one of the ESCs that provide printing services so that you can print your modified packet and send that directly to students, you can do that. So if you are wanting to go the customization route, this is definitely something that you can do. Okay. So that is the end of the webinar in terms of next steps. So as the quick reminder, if you do want to access printing and statewide printing and distribution, the best next steps are downloading and reviewing the packets to make sure they're helpful for you in your local context. Again, you do not have to use them, which is why we really recommend starting by just taking a look at what's available. And then downloading the order form and sending your addresses directly to the texaspackets@xanadu.com. So, and that can be found on our TEA website. I'm going to pause really quick and pull up the chat just to see if I can take the remainder of this time to answer some questions. Let's see. Okay. 1 second. Oops. Okay, sorry, just having one small problem. Okay, so to answer some questions, is the state cost and the ESD cost going to be the same? If you're referring to printing costs, all the costs that we've provided is if you access statewide printing. If you are trying to access printing and distribution services with ESCs, districts will work that out directly with the ESC that they engage with locally. And what we will do is post some of the information that the ESCs have provided us on their costs on the website tomorrow. So districts can actually take a look at some of the pricing that the ESCs have provided. If you want to use these materials for summer school, we have a question on would it be wise to submit requests and information this week? I think my answer to that is twofold. We are planning to launch a 2.0 option for these resources that will be available for summer school, particularly summer school that's happening a little bit later in the summer. And what we are actually hoping to do as part of 2.0 is make some improvements to the resources provided. So for example, one particular improvement we're hoping to do is see if we can actually provide some books and/or novels along with the packet so that we can base a lot of the instruction on high quality texts as opposed to students just working directly in a packet. So in the 2.0 version of this, that's one enhancement we're hoping to be able to make. If you're thinking about this for summer school, you can either wait for the 2.0 version to come out, or if you are interested in using the 1.0 version for summer school, you can definitely do that. And you can order those whenever you're ready. So you don't have to order now. You can order, if you want to take a week to think about it, you can order in a week. It's really just as soon as you order, you get them within that 4 to 7 day time period afterwards. And so you should just consider that for planning purposes. In terms of, if the website says coming soon for grades all over the 5th, you might want to refresh. I shouldn't say that anymore. Oh, you might be on the online. Sorry. Okay. So if you're on the website, if you are in the printed section, so if you say I'm a parent and you click on that and then you go to print materials, all of the print packets should be up for K through 12. So if you've gone to the printed materials section, you shouldn't see anything that says resources coming soon. And if you do, we can double check that immediately, because all the printable packets should be up and online on the website. If you have gone to the website and you've said, I'm a parent, and you select the online version, you may still see a couple grades that say coming soon, but all of those grades should have resources in them by the end of the week. So you'll see in the early grades that there's those digital resources that you're able to access. And then the high school should be up very shortly. So we focused first on getting the printing packets up just so that districts could automatically get their print orders in, but the online resources should be up very shortly. We have a question about, is each packet 1 week of work? No, each packet is 8 weeks of work. So every student who gets a grade level packet, they will get 8 weeks of daily instructions. So it's really 40 days of instruction that's included in every packet. And again, you may send, the student will get the full 8 weeks, but you as a district could give guidance locally to say, we recommend completing the first 4 weeks, or we recommend completing the first 6 weeks. And so whatever guidance, you can give whatever guidance you want to families, but one packet will come with 8 weeks of instruction. In terms of districts getting paid back, again, we anticipate that districts will be able to be reimbursed for all costs that they incur that are COVID related during this time. But again, we don't have that information yet. So as soon as we have that information, we will let you know. In terms of whether parents can purchase directly, currently right now that is not an option. So currently only districts are going to be able to purchase directly on the site to access the statewide printing costs. And parents can still go to the site and download those packets, but they will not currently be able to make individual requests to purchase them for their household. We're trying, there's a number of reasons this is an issue. We're trying to solve this problem for the 2.0 so that we can allow this, but for a number of reasons, we haven't been able to do that for 1.0. We've had a couple people request where to repeat where you can find this on the TEA site. So again, on the TEA site, if you go to the COVID homepage and you click on instructional continuity, and then you scroll down, there'll be a couple sections that are focused on the Texas Home Learning. So that's where you can find all the information about the Texas Home Learning site. It's also where you can find all of the materials we referenced related to statewide printing and distribution. And then you also can go to texashomeLearning.org. That's the actual website. And you can scroll around through that website and see and take a look at what's available. All right. Are high school packets available to, yes, high school packets are available to look at. And again, we have listed what courses are included in each high school packet. So recommend taking a look at that too. Okay, I think for the most part, that is most of the questions that make the most sense to answer now. And for all remaining questions, we can get back to you. I will send out a couple questions just to see, get a sense from the crowd. We have, we're getting a couple new questions about 2.0. So for 2.0, what we're planning to do is release a survey either tomorrow or early next week with some questions to districts as to what they would be looking for in the 2.0 version. One of which will be how much time would you want and how many weeks of instruction would you want in a summer school option. So for those interested in a 2.0 version, keep on the lookout for that survey. We'll announce it on the commissioner's daily calls with the superintendent, and we'll post it on the website. And we will use the results of that survey to make some decisions about how to create resources for 2.0. And then we will very likely share out what to expect for 2.0 in the coming week. We're getting some questions about how much time do we estimate it takes a child to complete a day's lesson. In every packet, we recommend a daily schedule that has kind of a block by block set expectation around what students should do, during times. So it might say from 9 to 10 do reading and writing, from 10 to 10:30 take a break, from 10:30 to 11:30 do math. So so that we have that guidance in there. Again, that can be adjusted however a particular family needs, but that is in there. In terms of the English and Spanish page count for packets, we are currently in the process of doing the translation. So our guess is that the English page count and the Spanish page count will be very similar. We don't have that exact answer yet. We will share the page counts for Spanish as soon as we have them. And again, we're hoping to have all packets translated by early next week. We have a couple people asking for the high school slide. So the high school slide is here. I hope you can all see that. It's also listed on the TEA website. So if you, on the Texas Home Learning website, if you're looking at the print packets and you scroll all the way to the bottom, it'll list what courses are included in each of the high school grades. But these are also the courses that are listed. The online packets are free. So if that was not clear, apologies. Yes, everything that you can access online is free to download and free to use. All of that stuff, we've been working directly with the publishers whose materials are included in the packet to ensure we have the proper licensing in place to use those materials for free. And you can use them for free right now. So you don't need to do anything if you want to start on the packets tomorrow that are on the website. Okay. We've had a couple questions about students and teachers linking in the online platform. So for the printed packets, there's not a platform that we provide that students and teachers link to. If your students are following in packets and districts want to provide local guidance around how they could potentially connect, they can do that. But it's not something that we necessarily provide. For the online version of packets, and I'm actually just going to go to that really quick. I'm going to go to the online version because we've talked about it a couple times, but we haven't gone in depth for this webinar. So if you go to the Texas Home Learning site, you click I'm a parent, I'm a student, you select, instead of the printed materials, you select the online materials. You'll get to your grade choices again. So if I select first grade, what you'll see is the online view of the Texas Home Learning Plan. So you can have, you'll see the one-time setup for visitors coming for the first time, and then we'll have each of the weeks broken out that you can click to at the top, and then you'll be able to kind of scroll through and see all of the schedules. So first grade week 1, and then week 1 Monday, and you'll scroll down and you'll be able to see the daily recommended schedule, and then it'll go to Tuesday and beyond. So this is the online view that should be up in the next couple days for all the grades, and then we'll have it updated through week 8 shortly. But whenever you're here, it depends on a specific subject, but in some instances, we're able to link to platforms where students can create an account, but then teachers can also create an account. And if a teacher creates an account, they'll be able to do some progress monitoring with their students. And so what we tried to do in the instances when we could was to identify where, if there were particular online tools that students could use that actually would also allow teachers to have a classroom code that they could give to students, where they could have a little bit more visibility into how their students were progressing. So when you go to the online schedule and you click the first time visitor setup button here, what you'll be able to do is scroll down and see the account setup instructions. So for every grade, we have account setup instructions that include kind of a one-stop shop for all of the resources that students will need throughout that 8 weeks of learning. And they can click one, and it will just give them all of the kind of the step-by-step instructions for how to sign up. And in some of these resources, the teachers will also be able to create that account. So ideally, they can come to this page, get all of their accounts set up once using kind of the step-by-step instructions, where we've tried to include some visuals to make it really easy to follow. They'll get them all set up once, and then they can go back to the online schedule, and they should be all ready to go in terms of starting their learning. All right. Okay. We have a couple more questions about free. Yes, all materials that you can access online are free. So you can go to this online schedule, and you can use any of the links that we've provided are free to access. So you can any links included in the week one or in the weekly instructions for the online learning is free, and then all the packets are going to be free to download as well. The only thing that you have to think about paying for is printing and distribution of the printed packets if you want them to be shipped directly to your household. Okay. Okay, so that puts us at the hour. So I'm going to go ahead and close down. Again, don't hesitate to reach out with questions. We'll review the questions that were already in the chat and plan to post answers and additional frequently asked questions. And we hope that this is a helpful resource for you all. So thank you so much for your time, and good luck out there. All right, bye everybody.